going to be taking up the map sight reading test part of your geography unit test from back in March. I'm just taking this up now so that you have a chance to review how we look at a diagram and how we read something that we've never seen before. That way, when you do the quiz for earthquakes based on a diagram, you're going to be able to use your knowledge that you've learned from the course and apply it also looking at the visuals to answer, I think there's 8 questions on the quiz for you. Okay, as a reminder, any quiz that you do in this course is, if you're doing it online right now by yourself, I'm only using the marks that are going to improve your grade. If you don't do well on a quiz, we'll just try it again, okay? So there's no pressure, but you want to do your best. Using this as an opportunity to review those skills is excellent. So let's take a look at this map. When I look at a new diagram or a map, the first thing I'm going to do is ask myself, what is the purpose of this map, or what is it showing? And I get that information from the title. So this is called Lake St. Catherine State Park. I also get information from knowing what the symbols, so that means the pictures on the map, represent. In this case, there's a lot of symbols on our map, and we can see that on what we call a legend. Also, sometimes I want to know who created this map. So over here it tells me it's from, it seems to be from Forest Parks and Recreation, Vermont. Okay, I know it's hard to read. And also, I want to know what direction is the map oriented in. So in this case, north is this way. So I look for the compass. So this map has a lot of the map features we've learned about in class. So looking at our questions from the test, one of them was, how many campsites are on this map? So how many campsites are on this map? How would you answer that question? Well, what I would do is I would look at the legend to see what is a campsite symbol for this map. And in this case, there's 2 types of campsites. There's prime campsites and there's regular campsites. Prime campsites are black labeled so that, and we know prime usually means first, so this might mean it's the first choice. And if I look at the map, actually, I can make an inference and see, yeah, actually that makes sense, because look at where the campsites are that are black. They're kind of closer to the lake, which would make sense that people would want to be there, or they're closer to a lot of these major features like showers, washrooms, drinking fountains. So obviously you'd probably want to be closer to that than have a campsite way down here in the south. You have to do a lot of walking or driving to get to that. Okay, but altogether, all of these campsites count. So we can look here, how many are in total? There's 50 campsites. 50 is the highest number on this map, and I found that by looking at the linear pattern here and seeing which number was the highest. Okay, so the answer was 50. Which campsite is closest to Lake St. Catharines? So if I look at Lake St. Catherine here, I see that there's a couple campsites that are close, 41 and 40. Now, if I look really close, 41 is very close, but 40 is actually just a little bit closer. And when you were in class, you could have used a ruler for that, or you would have had a better gauge of the spatial distance. So 40 is actually the closest one to the lake. Are showers free? So first of all, where are showers on this map? Well, I look at the legend. Here's a picture of a person showering, and I look here and there's a dollar sign. And what's interesting is not any of the other symbols have a dollar sign. So that might mean this is the only feature on the map that requires money. I'm surprised a concession stand doesn't. That might be a mistake on the map maker's part. But overall, we can see that showers do cost money. What distribution pattern are the campsites in? So distribution is a fancy word for where things are located, the pattern of where things are located. So when I look at this map, I'm seeing a pattern with how those circles are being put on the map. And the pattern is, look at my arrow key, it's a line, right? We can see this is kind of in a line pattern, and we call line patterns linear. And in this case, it's linear because it's following the roads, right? Which makes sense. People drive to their campsite. So this is a linear pattern. Which distribution pattern would describe the drinking water stations? So drinking water stations are here, 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 and here, and here. So they're kind of dispersed all over the different campsites, right? They're not like clustered in one little area. They're being spread out to the different campsites so that pretty much every campsite has one within, you know, a relative equal distance, okay? So that's dispersed. If something is clustered, it would have been just in one particular location, very concentrated together. So, so for example, washrooms are clustered. There's one over here and there's one over there. It isn't really spread out as much throughout the entire map. The last two questions from this map were how is the park designed to help traffic? Or how does it deal with traffic problems? So if you look at this map, the only thing that relates to traffic is the roads. But if you look at the roads, there's not much information on the roads. But if I look closely, I do see these arrows. There's one here, there's one here, there's one here. Now, I can use my common sense and think, oh, that's probably telling me the direction the cars are allowed to travel on the road, right? We call those one-way streets. So I can use this, see that they're going this way, especially helpful if it's along a loop so that people aren't accidentally colliding into each other and making it difficult, especially if the road is narrow. I also get an extra clue because the legend does indicate that I'm correct with that. It is for traffic direction. So that is how the streets are being designed to reduce traffic problems. Finally, I asked, do you think this map is a place in Canada? Now, a lot of you guys answered yes, and your reason was this is a Canadian geography course. And I was like, yep, that's a reasonable guess, but it's actually not in Canada. And here's a couple of reasons why. One is that it is in Vermont. Now, I don't expect you guys to know Vermont is a state in the United States, but it is. However, what is the key word here is state park. And we've talked about how in Canada, we're not called states, we're called provinces, right? Except for our 3 territories. So when we have a park, we call it provincial parks. That's why Algonquin is a provincial park in Ontario, and Banff is a national park in Alberta. So these kind of parks are provincial parks, and United States calls them state parks. Well, anyway, I hope this helped you out with looking at how we read a map. When you look at your earthquake map today, a reminder to make sure you look at the title, look at any legend or information. One of your maps doesn't have a legend, and that means instead you're going to look at things like this, where it's labeled. So here's an example where it doesn't tell you what the dotted line means on the legend, but because they've labeled this private property, I'm able to understand what this means, okay? Also, it seems like these dotted lines might also mean it's the trail. So that was a bit confusing. If I were designing this map, I would have actually done a better job at making it more clear what's the private property boundary and what's actually a trail. But the point is, you're able to see either from the symbols or from arrows, from colors, and from labels what things on a map mean. So take your time looking at the quiz today, and remember, I only take the marks that help you improve, but everyone should try to do their best because your mark can go up. Thanks so much and have a great afternoon.